abilities. But because we haven't managed our affairs well, we all feel bruised and battered one way or the other. We are not seeing individual injuries, and that is, we are not seeing certain levels of hopelessness. Even amongst the people that you would imagine are ordinarily comfortable in the country, you find that at the back of their mind is the niggling question whether this place is safe enough for them, especially against the backdrop of what is going on across the country, the insecurity. You know, economically, there is the question of your own personal safety and the safety of your loved ones. So there is nothing as damning as dispossession of your freedom to live in your own country and amongst your own people. So that is why I said, being my first book, you know, I wanted this book to speak to the Nigeria of my time, because I believe that anyone with the gift of the imagination should be able not just to write as it appeals to you, you know. I'm not one of those people who think that writers should just write to please their sensibilities, titillate people with words. I am of the view that the creative artist, because he's not direct, to speak to his time and shape the society if it is possible, which is what has been happening in the advanced countries that we want to emulate. You know, you see even that there is a symmetry between arts and architecture in some of these places, because you see their aesthetics manifest in the entire environment. It's the visionary artist who brings all those things to the consciousness of the people.
So let me cut in here.
Yeah, thank you.
What would you say that is the importance of an space in Nigeria?
I have said it, I think I've said it before, this is the biggest gift, not to the literary community in Nigeria, but to Nigeria as a country, as a place intelligent people live. You know, because if you do not reward creativity, if you cast away and belittle people with a gift of the imagination, if they are not given the chance to feel that the society wants them, then you find out that the loss of values will be tremendous. I am particularly happy that this year we had over 280 or so, 287 entries. That tells you about the urge of the human being to find expression within the Nigerian political space. We have a lot of people, a lot of singers, a lot of poets. People want to say one thing or the other. And that's how you measure a vibrant society. So without this structure in place, we'll all be writing into empty spaces. But because we have this, a lot of writers now look forward to getting the recognition that their works desire or deserve. So it's not really about the prize money. It is that a writer sits in the silence of his room to produce something that will bring him to a stage like this where he is celebrated, is made to feel very important. So that to me is, yes, biggest part of it, unquantifiable.
Very much.
You're welcome.
Still, and my problem keep pressing. When before I spoke, you heard my cry. When I did love, my me to me, you, yeah. To be loved by you is to be loved by. I'm amazed by you, 'cause you love me. To be loved by you, everything. I'm amazed by you, 'cause you love me with everything. Even when nothing deserves your love.
Raji. Sir, it seems like I was discussing on my table,
Yes.
and we're talking about the long list and those that are going to make it to the short list. And your name came up several times. Looking at the list of people that you are going to make it to the short list.
Well, there's always hope. The idea was first to improve on my writing year after year. So the long list itself is real honor to be there. It's going to be grace to be in the short list, and it's going to be magic to be the winner. All I try to do is to hone my skill and to try to engage in serious matters that poetry is all about. Issue of politics, of economy, of love, nature, the human condition. This has always been my concern, since I first got published in 1997. So NLNG Prize just came at a time when we are becoming recognized as writers in this country. And so it's going to be an icing on the cake when and if I win the prize.
Okay. So a lot of people think that the art of poetry is one that is dying out. Do you believe so, especially seeing as you are in the academic world and you have a first-hand knowledge of these things?
Yes, I do not believe that the art of poetry is dying. It is the heart of good poetry that is dying. If you go on Facebook now, or on Twitter, or Instagram, you will see so many lines, verses by would-be poets who in our field, scholarship, we call poet tasters, who only try to taste a bit of poetry and claim that they are also poets. There is no single school of poetry in this country. This is where we are coming to, that I am going to begin to, we have been doing it, to encourage the establishment of residencies, to encourage, support, retreat for poets. So the heart of poetry, good poetry, is dying over time. I teach poetry in my university. I was taught by some of the best poets, New York Shunari, Femi Oshofison, Harry Garuba. So I've gained a lot from these poets. But I realized that over time, also because of the downward turn of education in this country, we seem to place so much emphasis in quotes on science, and we leave out the humanities. There, history dies, literature is threatened, but poetry is dying. I'm saying good poetry. So the attempt is to begin to revive and to encourage the emergence of new generation of writers. But in spite of that, there are still those in the field who are based in the country, who are also outside, who have been longlisted and shortlisted, in a number of, for a number of literary prizes. So even in the darkness, there's always a halo of light for some people who are talented. But we don't just depend on just the talent. They say that literature or writing is 99% perspiration, but 1% inspiration. Meaning that writers can be made, not necessarily that writers can be born. We can make them just like footballers. So poetry, which is the king of all literary genres, is threatened when it comes to good poetry. So we need to encourage the art of writing good poetry.
Okay, so the prize for poetry
Yes.
is one that has never been won by a woman. Now this year we have just one woman who has made it to the long list. Now speaking with her, I think she was saying earlier that it seems like lesser women are getting published, are publishing their poems. Do you think that is there a reason for this? Is it that the women are just not interested in poetry as a genre, or?
Okay, let me tell you this. Apart from a poet, apart from a writer, I'm also a scholar, teacher of poetry, and one of my focal points is the study of African women's poetry. As a scholar, I've published extensively on the nature of women's writing in Africa, in South Africa and Nigeria especially. And about a decade or 2 decades ago, I did an album, a representative album of Nigerian women's poetry. That there is a huge rising of Nigerian female poets who are really not recognized. And my push as a scholar is to say that it's important for us to see the connection between genre and gender. There are not many scholars in that field, even among women scholars themselves. They would prefer to continue to study Okigbo, Shoyinka, Niyo Shundare, Ogaga Ifowodo, Remiraji Jo Ushe, neglecting their own kith and kin. You know, there are many female authors. There are Nigerian female poets. I did a whole one on about 15 female poets in this country. Half of them coming from the north. I did an essay on northern Nigerian women writers who are mainly poets, and was published in year 2000. Now, this is 22 years after. People are still saying that the poets are endangered species. It's because we have not looked very well. There are many of them. Jumoke Verissimo left this country. She's in Canada. She's writing. There are many of them who are writing. Ikwo Eke is one. Lola Shonai used to write poetry, but she's more of a novelist now. There's Promise Okekwe and many others. In fact, I am inspired now maybe to return to what I did earlier and then extend on and show that there is a developing body of writing poetry by Nigerian women. The question is, who is studying them? Why are we not studying the Nigerian female poets? That's a huge question.
Thank you very much for talking.
Thank you very much.
You look like a poem yourself.
With the tongue, the crucified flesh, so I might know Calvary's road of ruining my sweet serenity. Strikes of lightning.
Not really, not sure, because it's a competition. Anything can happen. I know that in one way or the other, some of the poems or sometimes my collections have come up first or second, but there's no guarantee that in things like this, it's best to leave your mind open for anything that, yes. And especially I am a lecturer and a teacher in the humanities. In the humanities, you cannot guarantee, it's not like 1 + 1, the answer is 2. The humanities, you cannot be very accurate about things like judgment. Yes. Yes, especially I've been a judge myself, and I know, yes.
Okay, so as a lecturer and a judge and other things, a lot of other things, looking at this list of 11, who are those that you are looking forward to seeing on the short list of 11, even though you are one of them?
Honestly, I have no idea, because instead of even answering that, let me say express my happiness. At a point, there was a time that no winner emerged.
Yes.
Nobody was picked,
yes,
because all the works were found to be below the standard of NLNG price. So my happiness is that we now have a situation where 11 works are all candidates for the prize, which is, for me, that's the joy. It's not so much about A or B or C is going to win. Those things are not things that, it's just like every person will say, oh, I am this is that, but it's better you leave it to the judges and their judgment.
Okay, so how would you describe this book party, the CORA NLNG book party? What do you think is the symbolic effect of this kind of events?
Let me describe it this way. It looks to me like an endangered species of an event. Endangered species of an event in the sense that it is a glorious, wonderful thing happening in an environment and in a time that people are no longer cherishing great things. So people are pursuing political party candidates, quick money, not this kind of grand things that will actually develop the human society. So for me, I am almost speechless to think that even in this kind of society, we still have an organization, we still have a group of people who are not the immediate food and looking forward to the future, the question of what Nigeria will be tomorrow. Because look, literature is the barometer for measuring the health of a society. So for instance, when people ask me, why are you always writing about worries, negative things, social issues, it is because those issues are the ones enveloping us. When these things become less pervasive, less available, we'll be talking about the beauty of a girl like you looking at me, the beauty of our mountains and all that time. Now, we are in this society, and what you are doing now is helping the Nigerian, the African society, humanity to look at itself in a mirror and from there react in terms of, do we want to continue in this mood that we have seen, this ugly mirror displayed before us? Do we want to improve? So there's no way one can quantify the greatness of this event. It's not something, in fact, the prize money is very high, I must confess, but the real value is more than that. The value for society is more than that. And this event advertises every person, every organization involved with it more than $200,000 would have done. Because right now, you won't believe how many people in the world are even reaching out. Congratulations, the spread is magical.
Thank you very much for talking to me, sir.
Thank you so much.
Yes, sir.